The Center for Applied Legal Studies is calling for postponements of court cases to be capped, especially criminal cases. It's of the belief that the endless postponements create challenges for parties involved. We get more on this. We're joined by Thandeka Kati from the Center for Applied Legal Studies at Wits University. She co-authored an opinion piece that was published on Ground Up. Makati, thank you very much for availing yourself this afternoon. What do we need to understand about court cases that continuously get delayed in South Africa? What is at the heart of this?
Thank you for having me, Dudu, and good afternoon to your listeners. We're basically saying that we're not saying that people should not have their day in court. What we are saying is that unreasonable delays have an adverse impact on people's lives. In this particular case that we mentioned in our opinion ad, is that the case has been on the roll for over 6 years, and there's been over 30 postponements. And in that time, some people have lost their jobs because obviously employers do not want to give people endless leave to attend court cases. And we've also had a gentleman who was one of our clients pass away during this time. So it has a negative impact on people's lives. So there needs to be a way that the courts deal with this issue. We have to know that it is important to remember that the right to a free trial includes the right to a speedy trial. And courts are already capping appearances for bail applications or bail hearings anyways. So we're just asking that this applies to trial hearings, to trials, as well, to criminal trials as well as civil trials.
Sure. We'll get into the cost of this in a few moments, but this particular case that you cite of people that were protesting in Lenasia, it's been dragging on for 6 years, and you mentioned the 30 postponements. Why?
So they would range from the state not being able to get the witnesses to come to court. Sometimes it would be the prosecutor is ill. Another time they had lost the docket, they recovered the docket and then lost it again. So it would be postponements like that. And then other times the magistrate would be like overburdened, and then they would prioritize bail hearings over trials.
You mentioned that this is a costly exercise, especially for those who are waiting to have their day in court, with some people losing their jobs. But monetary-wise, how much is this costing us?
It depends from case to case. For instance, in this case, it would be transport costs. It would be also the cost of already you were protesting because you wanted services, and now you are losing your job. So that's a great cost to you and your family. It is difficult to quantify, but it's a huge cost.
You also state in your opinion piece, that unless there are compelling reasons, arrests should be a last resort and not the first by the police or the Metro Police.
I mean, I think that's also what the law says, that, arrest should be a measure of last resort. But there are other ways of getting people to come to court. So that policemen have to, especially for cases that are not as serious, to actually use arrest as a measure of last resort because of overcrowding and other issues in prison.
This particular case study of the Lenasia matter that you cite in your opinion piece, you say that some of the accused are lucky because they're getting pro bono help. Another average South African is not that lucky. So what does this mean? I mean, is this it? What other options are available to the accused?
I mean, sadly, as you mentioned, it's not every accused that's going to have pro bono attorneys at the disposal. A majority of South Africans, especially those in rural areas, for instance, do not have access to pro bono human rights lawyers. So it would be really difficult for them to get assistance. So what you do have is the legal aid will then, in that instance, assist people. But we also know that the legal aid has huge sort of issues with the caseloads and the workloads, and they're also just struggling with capacity.
What do you believe needs to be done with legal aid then?
I think one of the issues is that, there's been reports that say that, legal aid needs more funding. They need to hire more people. They need to be capacitated because the issue is there's just not enough sort of human resources for what is needed in terms of there are more people in need of legal aid than legal aid can provide assistance to.
In a nutshell, the current system is not working, and especially not for poor people.
The current system, it's our humble opinion that the current system is really failing poor people or the impoverished people who cannot otherwise afford legal fees. And even if you were to afford legal fees, over 6 years and over 30 postponements, like that money will run dry.
Where can we draw examples from? Because you also argue that the accused should at least be given some sort of a transport allowance. Is that one sustainable, and where do we see this working?
In terms of transport allowances, witnesses in civil trials sometimes can apply for that and they can receive it from the state. Sorry, in criminal cases, like witnesses can sometimes ask for transport fees.
Thandeka Kati is with the Center for Applied Legal Studies at Wits University. Thank you so much, ma'am, for availing yourself this afternoon.